Hi, before this video starts, I just want to put a disclaimer. I will be talking about stalking, doxing, and emotional abuse, and somewhat suicide in here. So if that triggers you in any way, I don't want to hurt you. So I want you to please click off. Thank you. But just a reminder that I just have compiled a bunch of information from the internet and Emily's video and a lot more other channels. And I'm gonna be honest, I honestly believe Emily due to the facts and the evidence, but I will be saying allegations because I don't want to get sued. In today's video, the first part will be a timeline and just everything that's happened. There is not going to be very much of a drama aspect showing receipts. I'm just going to be telling you the things that have happened and the things that have led up to today. Also, I will be talking about why I think Shannon and Anthony think that they were able to do this without getting caught and why they thought it was okay. This is not a drama video. This is more of a video essay. I just want to make sure you guys, know. So, you don't think you're going on to a video that is not what it is. Anyways, I will be only working off the facts and try to get everything into a timeline and then talk about the philosophy in Shannon and Anthony's brain, I guess. Is philosophy the right word? Probably not. But, anyways, the first time we ever saw Shannon was on April 4th, 2016, when she created her channel. But later she started posting in 2018, March 20th. Back in 2018, the same year, she started posting on Locale when she was anonymously, allegedly posting about herself and her friends and her family members. She would say homophobic, transphobic, and special needs phobic slurs. She would vigorously break the rules, and since she broke the rules so many times, the
administrator
outed her as a punishment for talking about herself in an anonymous form. In some instances of Shannon showing her true colors is that she would talk about her friends on many accounts, which she publicly was shown being friends with, like Ready to Glare, D'Angelo Wallace, and even Peaches when they were still friends. She praised them on their channel multiple times when she would go behind their back and talk about them. And another thing that she did was she doxed a sibling while they were in the ICU so they could get attacked, which is just very disgusting in itself. But she would also have conversations with herself, talk about herself on many occasions, and she would praise her own art and even have arguments with herself, which I cannot comprehend and I don't understand, but that is just the mindset of Shannon. Anyways, in the beginning of Shannon's channel, she made a video which she deleted, so I can't really get the exact time it came out, but I'm sure it was in the beginning or the middle of the video or the channel when it came out, but she kinda went downhill from that video. It was her I Had a Stalker for 8 Years video. And the reason I'm saying it went downhill is because she had poorly researched content and would multiple times just be a hypocrite, scream at other people, and say the same exact thing, like my dude, just saying the same, just having the same script over and over and over again, which is just weird because everything that she would multiply say over and over again, it was found out that she did. she actually did the things that she was saying other people shouldn't. And I actually agree with her. No one should be doing the things she would shame other people for. But I honestly think instead of her, going for other people, she should have been looking at herself, because what she was doing was pretty disgusting. And yeah. But I'm not saying drama channels are terrible, but I'm just saying poorly, not the right information, not the right stuff that even goes with the situation. It's just bad. It's just bad. And I understand if she was just giving her opinion, but she was making it out to be like, shit, this is my opinion is the right opinion. And that's all I have to say about that. But anyways, June 2nd of this year was the day that Creepshow art was called out, I believe, because I tried to go on locale, but I don't know how to use this site. And yeah, but I'm pretty sure it was June 2nd. But it took a week for YouTube to pick this up. But Emily, other known as Emily Artful, tweeted, quote, "This just needs to be said. This woman has tormented me for years and years. I know her because of my ex-boyfriend dated her after me. I moved on, but she continued to harass and stalk me," quote. Later, she posted a video named "Creepshow Art Has Always Been This Way." I'm not going to go too deep into the details because Emily does a pretty good job on going really deep into the topic and what happened in the situation, and showed a lot of receipts and a lot of evidence on the situation. And I'm not going to take Emily's voice from her at all, because I think it needs to be said from Emily, because Emily went through all of this, and I think it just shows how Emily honestly was truly telling her story. But anyways, Shannon allegedly stalked and harassed Emily. This went on for about a decade, and Emily stated that in the beginning it was Shannon's boyfriend/husband, Anthony, and she believes that Shannon just slowly started to take over. She explains this a lot better in her video, but basically Shannon was very manipulative, very toxic. She kind of amped it up a little bit more than Anthony did. She controlled Emily and even scared Emily in multiple ways. They held CP over Emily. Just please go watch Emily's video, because she talks about it a lot more, and a lot more about what Shannon did, and a lot more on the topic of how Shannon manipulated her. And I do think that Emily and Omnia's videos are the best videos on these topics. Alright, next topic. At one part, I definitely think they were obsessed, but there was somewhat of a God complex in there, which, if you don't know what a God complex, it's an unshakable belief of characterization by constantly inflated feelings of personal ability, privilege, or inflammability. I honestly feel like they felt Emily deserved this, and they were the victims, or at least Shannon did, because in Shannon's stalking story, she made Emily, which I believe is her, some kind of victim, which I'll show right here.
And then send me an email as a response to that post, because she knew I would probably assume it was someone I knew in real life. She told me how over the years really fucking with me and sending me those rage-filled emails became a way for her to cope with the stress of her life. After we had blown up the way we did, she went through an insanely hard time in high school, and it was a way for her to get her anger out, her messing with me. So all that anger, all that rage was not just at me, but the people around her who were hurting her. She then went on to get married after high school, have a kid right away, and was an army wife. And anytime she was stressed or upset, she would turn to me, and she would turn to fucking with me. I was her stress relief. while she was telling me all of this, that I'm just talking it out, but she was crying, and I fully didn't know how to react because I had gone into that call thinking she was probably going to be a dick or make excuses, and I was ready to fight with her. I was ready to accuse her, but she collapsed under the weight of what she had done, and she was sobbing over FaceTime and trying to tell me that she was so sorry. And I couldn't hold on to that anger. I couldn't hold on to that hurt.
Shannon, I think she made this video to sympathize with herself and deal with the guilt she was feeling. I don't think it was her in the beginning. I think it was Anthony. I honestly think that Anthony was obsessed, and Shannon just slowly became obsessed and started to have a God complex from this. I'm not saying that she had it, but I think that she at least had some kind of God complex. But a good thing to bring up is victimizing narcissism. Victimizing narcissism in relationships appears to result, at least in a part, for a bias recall or self-preservation. The explosiveness / entitlement of narcissism may be partially useful for explaining why narcissistic people report higher rates. Sorry, someone just came in. I was like, what the hell? Anyways, interpersonal transgressions in their daily lives. But a true narcissist is someone with a narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. It's a mental condition characterized by an inflated sense of importance, a deep need for attention and affirmation, and a lack of empathy for others. And I am not saying that she is a narcissist. I'm saying she has narcissistic tendencies that we often see in her content. Also, it's the next day, but my phone died. So back to what I was saying. Oh, and I forgot to say, I'm not just talking about Shannon. I'm talking about both Shannon and Anthony, because I do think they had an equal part in this. But back to what I was saying, but we often see this in her content, and I think that with all the attention that she gathered from people liking her content, it created even more of a God complex. That makes sense, because it just makes like a lot of sense that she thinks that she would be able to control someone and choose like life or death for someone, which I'm not saying that she did this, but I honestly think in the back of my mind that she was trying to get Emily to the S word. I honestly think that that was Shannon's plan, was to get her so sad and so drained, was for her to just quit in life. And it's sad because I honestly think she was doing this to bring herself up, and just mixed with a lack of empathy for others, I think that she just didn't care that she was making Emily this sad, this drained. And I am just disappointed, because if she really did all these things, she wasn't who she said she was. She wasn't a good person. She was honestly just a broken person trying to bring someone else down to her level, which I think is just so sad. But I'm gonna stop talking about that, because I honestly, it just is very sad. And I'm gonna go on to my next point, which is kind of a off-topic point, but I think it goes with the situation, so I'm gonna bring it up. Okay, hear me out on this one. Hear me out, okay? This might sound a little crazy, but these two situations have a lot in common and add to the situation I'm talking about. But the situation I'm talking about is the Stanford experiment. The Stanford experiment was a social physiologically experiment influenced by the Malagrange experiment that attempted to investigate the psychological effects of a perceived power, and focusing on the struggle between prisoner and prisoner officers. On August 14th, 1971, 24 people, I believe, I'm pretty sure it's 24 people, but they were brought into an experiment to simulate a prison. It started with a study of human beings in general and prison life in a whole. The beginning, the prisoners are booked and stripped nude, and it was just dehumanizing. And in this dehumanization, the guards felt some kind of power over the prisoners. And they honestly thought that they don't know who I am. They can't see my whole face, because in this experiment, the prison guards had sunglasses on. And they had a power with these sunglasses because they just felt like the prisoners would never know who they are. So they immediately started abusing their power and even started to control the food rations. Oh, and their most abusive thing is they wouldn't let the prisoners go to the bathroom. They would control that too. They slowly began to create themselves into God, because they would have no repercussions because there was no proof, and in the back of their head they were sympathizing with the thought because they thought they were doing some kind of good, even though they were just abusing their power over innocent people that were doing an experiment. This brings me back to the situation with Shannon and Anthony. I think that they honestly thought they would have no repercussions because they were behind a screen, and even if Emily knew who they were, they always thought no one would believe her, and she had no proof that they were doing anything to her. And I believe this gave them both a God complex and some kind of narcissistic tendencies, which got worse and worse over time because they always had some kind of thought in their brain that they were never going to get caught, that she doesn't actually know who I am, and there's no proof. And to bring this up, before Emily called him out, I'm pretty sure right before Emily talked to Shannon about the stalking and the hate, Shannon made a sock account and claimed it was a 15-year-old and we're getting help. And I feel Shannon got even more power from making this because she felt like Emily was tricked in a way, or Emily was confided in what she found because she doesn't actually know if it was Shannon or not. And both Shannon and Anthony had some kind of power in this, and later on, as we know, more and more proof came out on locale, and then more proof came out from Emily herself, for us to actually piece it all together and find out that it was allegedly Shannon and Anthony. I honestly thought that this was interesting because in some experiments and situations, this is how human brains work. And it's crazy because even that the pieces together and shows it more proof that Shannon actually did this, and seeing the timeline and everything and how this happened, it really shows Shannon's mindset and how it got worse over time. It was a catty behavior before, but now it's just unacceptable. But what does this say about us? Because over the years, Shannon actually did have a channel, which I'm pretty sure it was like 5 years? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 5 years. But these tendencies in her videos, that we never called them out because it was entertaining us and benefiting us, so we never thought to call it out. But now that we see what we have seen for many years actually to come into light, to hit us in the face, is when we call it out. We could have seen it months ago. We could have stopped it a long time ago. And I know that we couldn't have stopped what is happening right now because the evidence and the proof barely came out, but we could have at least brought Shannon to light and just stopped praising her for just being a toxic person as a whole. And honestly, I'm going to say this, I think that Shannon's YouTube channel and her fans created Shannon to become a worse person and not grow out of her toxicity, because it seems like she's gotten even worse over the years because of all the praise, and she thought she was doing some kind of right and her wrong. And I feel like we just need to look at ourselves and realize that creators that we praise and people are just human beings. And that doesn't mean that it's okay about what she did. It's not okay. Nothing that she did is okay, and she needs to be held accountable. But we need to realize that we can't praise a person saying, you're such a problematic queen, or this or that, because she was pretty toxic, and we just never realized because, well, she had fans, and we fit into that fan base in a way. And I'm not saying that every person and every human is gonna emotionally torture you into the brink of suicide multiple times. I'm saying that we all have toxic tendencies that we need to realize before it gets worse and worse. And we can't put influencers and celebrities on a higher standing because they're normal. And some of us have just reached a level of not being normal, and not being normal in a bad way. And our praise and our likes and our follows and our views has made them into a worse person. And this is just terrifying to see because we see this with Shannon. But I honestly think that Shannon has became a worse person. And it's because of us. It's because of her fan base. It's because of her likes. It's because of her views. And she sympathized with herself in a way, because she thinks she's doing some kind of good. And I think the internet just made Shannon and Anthony worse. But I honestly just think this is about Shannon right now. Like, I think the internet made Shannon worse, but I don't know much about Anthony. I think he was just a bad person to start with, but yeah. But that's all I have to say about the situation. If anything comes up, like an apology or some kind of statement from Shannon, I might say something about it on my Instagram. I'm not going to make another video because she isn't worth my time. But I just want to say my channel is not a drama channel. I'm a lot funnier. I'm a lot less speech related. But before this ends, I just want to say something to Emily. And I wanted to say I'm sorry you had to endure this mental abuse and emotional trauma. I honestly hope that Shannon and Anthony are brought to justice. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.